March of 1999, a language terminology development workshop was held in Tuktoyaktuk. Elders, youth, and Inuvialuit language teachers were brought together by the Inuvialuit Cultural Resource Center to talk about the state Inuvialuit is in, what programs are in place, and what programs should be implemented to help revive Inuvialuit. A language conference such as this had not taken place since March of 1990. We'll share with you some of the resolutions and discussions that took place during the workshop. I'm Debbie Gordon-Rubin. Welcome to TAMAPTA. The Language Terminology Development Workshop brought together the delegates from each of the 6 communities in the Inuvialuit settlement region. The coordinator for the Inuvialuit Cultural Resource Center, Pat Winfield, and her assistant, Rini Airy, brought the group together for a 5-day workshop.
My name's Pat Winfield, and I'm the coordinator of the Inuvialuit Cultural Resource Center in Tuktoyaktuk. And the center is a center that was set up about a year ago. It'll be a year in May, and it's to serve the 6 communities in the region, and it's to help basically promote and revitalize the language. The conference came out of perhaps 8 months of working at the center, feeling somewhat isolated. We've been given some fundings from Education, Culture, Employment to get involved, to develop a language plan. And while we did some community surveys, we felt also that it was important to bring together a group of people who over the years have been working in the language, either because they use it through work, through CBC radio, or whether the translation work, or language teachers, and to get them together and start looking at what is the problem, and why isn't the language still being taught in a way that it's being learned and used in the communities? And what can we do? What challenges do we face to turn that around a little bit? Inuvialuit is very close to being a dead language, basically. It's very close to being lost. And unless we can help create a sense in the communities that that can be turned around and that there's some value in learning the language. And the value is just in being able to speak 2 languages and being able to speak the language of your ancestors, if you wish, because it's true, it can be argued that you can survive in English and you don't need to learn to speak Inuvialuit. The important thing is it will help young people gain a sense of identity and sense of direction, and it's a valuable thing to have, and it's a terrible thing to lose. And so we wanted to bring all these different people together and say, what can we do about that? What will work in the communities? What programs are already in the communities that maybe we need to rework, redesign so they're more effective? How can we support teachers in their efforts? What kind of things do they need to become better teachers? What can we get the communities doing so that it's not just the school's responsibility to bring to work with the language, that after school you have to be doing something, on weekends you have to be doing something with the language.
The delegates spoke on various issues about how they feel about the language personally, the language in the home, in their work environment, or in the community.
You know, thinking about, we have to work each community, best we can do, make the world understand. Like myself, and I'm thanking to everyone. I wish I could help. I always had that in my mind. You know, even how hard we try today, it'd be no end. We're never done today. But we don't have to fail, no. We have to keep going ahead, thinking about second generation. We don't live forever. We want a second generation to go forward on the same line, or right direction. Thank you.
I think we should add on youth groups and any kind of youth organizations there are in the communities. Okay. Just to have it down on your paper too. From the youth groups, they can like request parents and grandparents and their friends and family and have activities that they plan themselves and what they want to know, what they want to learn from us. And involving their parents, that would make me involved as middle-age group.
Because teenagers, I was talking to Edward about teenagers. He said teenagers might have a better mind, better ideas. If we plan together, work together, help each other, then we'll both understand. Everybody will understand what we're working with the teenagers. Don't have to be just teenagers, could be younger than under there.
We always talk about teenagers and elders. Beverly and I have been stressing since yesterday. We're talking about 20s and going on 30s, over 30s. That's what we were trying to missing since yesterday. You talk about youth, you talk about teenagers.
We've got a few things here. We've got night classes for adults. We have things for whole families. And there are ways to get those people involved, as Beth points out, in youth groups. Get them involved in all of these activities. And that once we've decided on the activities, we can think about who should be involved, how it's going to happen. Is that
I know a lot of these young people I talk to, they feel that they're left out because every time there's a notice or something on, it's always stated under 30. You could do something under about 30, 29 or 20 and under. Nobody mentioned from 30 and over there. Then it starts from 40 something to old age. I know they're feeling this age is really lost in the communities, not only here. Someone has to make them know that they are involved in these things.
At the Katimabik Center, the youth have a list of materials and programs: drum dancing, mapping, and Inuvialuit names, Inuvialuit stories, video and traditional, string games, youth sewing. We have Inuvialuit teachers, interviewing elders and translation, and numbers of other programs will carry on.
The youth center here in Tuk has traditionally just been a hangout, nothing more, nothing less. It was just a place for kids to go after school and play pool or sit around and talk and listen to music. And I know right now there are lots of people in Tuk that are saying it has to be more than that. It has to have programs for all age groups so that you don't have the situation where you've got 10, 11-year-olds being there with 16 and 18-year-olds and being intimidated or being involved in, there's a difference in age groups there and they need different activities. And so I know that when the youth center really gets going again, the plan, in Tuk anyway, the plan is to have programs, and maybe as it's what we just hear about in home, and maybe that does mean having some time put aside for kids to come in and do some language learning if they wish to. Maybe there's some way to do that.
Maybe they should just try it like they've done drum dance. Get a few younger generation and youth interested in that. Because if a couple of teenagers and that try something, and they're teenagers and that might get bored of what's going on all the time at the youth center and want to go try to learn their tradition. I mean, a lot of them know their tradition, but the language part of it, just like the drum dancing, it was dying off too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's the youth that brought it back up, working with the elders. And I think the language should be dealt with that way. Just keep few of the younger generations and the youth interested in it.
Concepts, environment.
Using the old words and how to develop new Inuvialuit words for the new modern English words, which come with changing technology, was also discussed.
I'm doing translations, and if I'm stuck for Inuvialuit word, I call my mom, I call Mary and Nora. I have people, resource people that I can depend on when I'm stuck for Inuvialuit. But when there's an English word and there's no Inuvialuit for that word, I don't know where to go. I'm afraid to try to make up a word myself because I don't know if people are going to understand it or if it really is the right meaning of the word when it's translated into Inuvialuit. And that's a problem that I have. And I know other people do. Like even Dorothy on the radio, some of it is English because there's really no specific word in Inuvialuit for that word. For the newer things that have come along with new technology. So that's the difficult part of it.
Inuvialuit tatkiw dilimaman makperala kilaw dam na agalagagay kuliaktuanit ukiok dilatun haba kami ahitayma ilata Inuvialuit na iliok kakluwe agalana ilani tanik tuno kaktua aku ubona terminology in nakaman ubangagalo tayo lagalo nunga ukawak pa man tayo nakluwo mikililakit kiga ahina ilaligo ka dinuging mi nami bakperalaki kami pakitla kami yung Inuvialuit tuno kawak tamna kuliak tuwali amin tapos kukuha labluit apesaro labluit mewi telilo imaatlat tayo kang idag ko ahin ilitsukin niya alo akto kanok kaya ko na Inuvialuit tun at kakanak pa makperabot ni mumit kidakrak aglaro pizza kabanak kayo kapta kang malini aba ni article back milo manilo kangaptuak miyo ni pikapta computer na kami kakitaw yami tam na pakayumayaktan they call computer kakitaw ahintay ma phone kun pihula kaming bibluting dahil makisi sira saudi ko tam na o kakawikun tukisi yuminaktan o mga inumin tanik tuno kalaycho tamakot iliyok kakluwit na inakting katitluwit bahudahin ba ito awut pang ma-Inuvialuit inyawawut pumikyak tamakot at siranyak pidilit apekiruting i-Beverlim tapos mga wahawak kaktugod uvlabak kaya na yun.
Like when I was in Eastern Arctic, I took part in training, translating Nunavut Final Agreement, and it's 200 pages. And from what I see, they hire people just to do only making terminology. And I think that's what we can do too among ourselves, because these words that they're using today, they're not our words. And the government should be the one that's paying for it. And they are the ones that have created it. And we're no less important than rest of the Inuit in Canada.
2 language specialists who assist the Gwich'in and Inuvialuit in ways to keep the language also helped out at the workshop. Chris Douglas explains how he is involved with the Aboriginal languages and the research he does on the cultures whose languages are in the critical stage.
See, there are groups that have brought their languages back. There's the Maori in New Zealand, for example, are having some success by preschools, getting the elders into their preschools, talking the language. Israel, for example, the Hebrew language is dead for almost 1,000 years. Nobody spoke it except for religious reasons. And during the course of this century, it is now everybody in Israel speaks that language. Okay, so what you learn from studying other groups is how they succeeded, but these groups are very unique up here. There's only, how many people do we have in the Inuvialuit settlement area? And maybe 3,000, you know, something small. So very, very small group of people that we have to work with, and that brings with it a lot of challenges. We also have 3 dialects, which again is a challenge. We can't just, so we're not just focusing on one language. In some ways we're looking at 3 languages. And our biggest challenge right now is the young people. How are we going to get them to learn the language? A lot of them, some of the youth here at this conference said that they wanted to learn the language, but they didn't know how. And it's a real tough job to learn another language through schools or just through your elders. I mean, it takes a lot of work, and they need a lot of help because it's a difficult language to learn. So our teachers need help in explaining to the kids how the language works, and the kids need help practicing it, using it in the communities. If nobody's speaking it out in the communities, out on the streets, or out in the bush, then what's the point of learning?
Due to the lack of funds and only so much money being designated to each community, the delegates had to choose what programs they wanted to start up this coming year. The 2 projects with the most votes would take priority, and the other project ideas would happen later.
Where our voting is all done here, and I'll just run through what the different communities voted for. Inuvik, we had language camps. They wanted money put towards language camp program, and the preschools. Those were the 2 most popular choices. Okay. For Aklavik, again, money into language camps. And the second one was elders in the classroom. Getting elders into the classroom, okay? Those were the 2 activities that Aklavik was voting on. Sax Harbor, we have language classes for whole families, and the language camps again. Holman voted for monthly community activities and for elders in the classroom. And Polituk, well, what did we do? We just take the top 2 choices so that we can discuss those, okay? Polituk was elders in the classroom and night classes for adults, okay? Again, we just took the 2 choices from each community that had the most votes, because ideally we want all of them, right? But we just have to prioritize a little bit here. Now our problem with Tuk, this is the problem with Tuk.
This is out.
Okay.
This just where
We've got, there's very, very even split votes on about 4 different programs. So Tuk will have to decide on how they want to handle this. We had 2 votes for night classes for adults. We had 2 votes for expanding Inuvialuit into the high school. We had 2 votes for healthy baby program. And was that it? 2, and 2 votes for the language camps.
Each community had resolutions about the revival of Inuvialuit they brought forward, and these resolutions would be directed to the proper funding agency.
Start training younger teachers while we're still around. Courses to be offered during the summer, even on the land.
I know our instructor, Sarah, she used to take a little box around in a cart and go from class to class. And how people gonna learn their language with just half of the material and half, like they cut off from 5 and up, Sarah? You teach from K to 5 up, right? Yeah, it used to be higher than that. But it's always lack of money. Each school should have at least 2 instructors in there for each class. And they should have a classroom of their own. And also, to myself, the way I think, as a concern parent in a community, that they should have just as much payment to the Inuvialuit instructor as ordinary teacher in a classroom. A lot of times we have Inuvialuit instructors, they get so little pay, it's not enough for them to live on in their community or in their homes, so they have to quit and look for another job. So we should have high-paying Inuvialuit instructors, and with their own classroom, and with computers in their classroom too. You know, all these things should be in place, and if we fight hard enough for it, we will get it. But the only thing is you have to go to your DEAs, speak to them, and let them know what you are trying to get your point to. Elders should go to DA meeting and put your concern in there, because a lot of times our DA meetings are open, and there's no elders coming to our meeting.
In our classes, we have not enough room, so we just show up our work, and in the future we'd like more our own Inuvialuit classes.
I would like make a resolution to have upgrading and go for training, as I'm so young and I like to build up.
And I sort of want to expand on that, because I don't, and what I want to expand is this, that I think that we should find a way, and a number of different Inuvialuit organizations should put money into a scholarship fund to allow young people who are interested in teaching to go and get the training they need to be effective teachers, and to be recognized by the school board, the school district, as being professional teachers like other teachers in the system. That's what I would like to see happen, and that may come from money from IRC or Hunters or Trappers, just a lot of different organizations. I mentioned this week that I know that in the month of November in Tuk, people here spent $50,000, which I can't believe, but $50,000 on bingo. And if we could tap the bingos for 10% of their monthly income for a year, we could probably have a very nice scholarship fund to train young people who want to become language teachers.
Gat ay tong matiwit ukaw sa kami Inuvialuit dun. Ay maptaw kasi nubagot naman na ukaw sa riyakput ingwak sibulip tingin ilit pagkawot. Ay maptaw liya ubagot naman na iyak sa kaluakibot king ubap ting nun. Ay maptaman na sibulip tingin ay tuktaw man ubap ting nun. Sulip daw ubagot iyak sa rigaptigo. Isianik nagtakin no saktikin mat sulip daw Inuvialuit yung ukang na sa pernakiblon eh. When the new society came in, when they arrived, that it became very difficult for us to speak in Inuvialuit because of education system that was imposed upon us, and our people were not respected. They didn't honor them, and even our language was not in an education system in Canada. So it is up to us to bring it out and make it work, because nobody else is going to do it for us. We have to do it ourselves.
I would really like to see in the resolution that we have two different Inuvialuit teachers. Because in years before, as a language teacher in school, I feel I'm tied up in a classroom. That was the reason I never go out to the camps with the students. I have over 100 students a day. By myself wasn't easy. It's not easy. I still have over 100 students. And if we're going to train teachers, I would like to see 2 titles. One in a classroom, maybe the other one in a land. And a title change, the name, 2 different names, like language teacher, maybe cultural teacher.
Being proud of who you are is very important. Knowing your culture, traditions, and values is directly connected to the Aboriginal language, whether it be spoken in the home, in the community, or out on the land. Preserving, maintaining, and enhancing the Aboriginal languages is a huge task that many Aboriginal communities face. We'll leave you with these words of encouragement spoken at the closing of the workshop. Until next time, Ilani Lu.
We have to keep working with each other. I know a lot of times I bother some people say, how do they say welcome? I had to phone these girls say, how do you say welcome in your language? If I don't know their language, I fax them something and then the intern fax it back to me. These are the things that we need to do is help each other. When we get out of here, don't forget to tell your peoples out there, the language is dying, it's gonna die if we don't do something about it. And we don't want that. We have our grandchildren, our children right now, they lost their language, but we have these grandchildren that we have, we could learn them. The teachers are learning them. The teachers are, I know what the teachers go through because I was language teacher in a Akavik. It's hard and nobody's out there in the community giving you a hand. Coming into your class just to see how your classroom is. I know you go through a lot, but don't give up. No matter what, don't give up. Just keep going. You may think that sometimes that nobody's behind you when you're working, but there are always people back there that do care about our language. Think of those people that are behind you. They're silent in a way, but they are out there. Don't say, I'm gonna give up. Keep going, keep going. Don't give up the language.